Hi kids, have you ever been afraid of an inanimate object? I know I sure have. And the character in tonight's story certainly was. Tonight's story is The Scarecrow.
My parents, who were avid gardeners, got a scarecrow a week ago. Though there wasn't much of a crow problem in our garden, I shrugged it off and started to look at it. The weird thing is that it didn't have a single piece of straw sticking out of its wool-like body. This was almost professionally made. It had button eyes, a stitched-up mouth. I could never figure out why it was made of wool. My parents said that it was an unimportant question, so I just stopped asking. It started freaking me out because I'd noticed crows would land on it and peck and tear at the wool, but still there was no straw whatsoever to be seen. I decided to investigate the following night by walking up to it with a pocket knife and cutting a hole into it to see if there was any straw or if it was just stuffed with fluff or something. I cut a hole. It moved, bent its arms. I tried pulling my hand away, but the scarecrow started to jump and struggle against its binds, screaming in a horrible, agonizing. I ran for my life to my bedroom and closed the drapes. His screaming lasted about 15 minutes before I opened the drapes and saw that it was limping towards my window. It had broken free of its binds. I started screaming for a second, but covered my mouth because my parents were asleep. But how could they not be awakened by the scarecrow's screaming? It broke my window, and what I saw traumatized me forever. Its stitched-up mouth was now ripped open. It was a dark crimson red. It lifted its hands to its head and stuffed its fingers into its eyes, making a sickening squelch as its stick-like fingers exited the now missing eye sockets. I fumbled for my pocket knife again and stabbed it in the stomach 2 more times. It screamed even louder and lurched backwards and tried to regain its balance. I watched in horror, anticipating its next move. It stopped screaming and violently clutched its head. I knew what it was about to do. It pulled wildly, seams ripping from its neck. It finally tore off its own head, but there was no straw. Instead, there was a thick, dark red blood pouring out from its now severed head and the stump that remained on the body. Falling over, I thought I heard a whisper of someone asking for help. I sat on my bed for almost half an hour, contemplating what just happened. I couldn't gather anything. I could barely sleep that night. I only got about 2 hours of rest. The next day I asked my parents if they heard someone screaming last night, and they thought I was delusional for talking about a scarecrow that moved and killed itself. I went back to my room, and on my desk sat a crow's severed head. I looked out the window. The scarecrow hadn't moved, but I still felt as if it were watching me somehow.